Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we are over on the Pioneer server. Now, this is a server they made to test the new season before it launches globally, and this server will get completely wiped. They put out an invitation to players to fill out a form to get it, and some players got in. Now, we got in. Originally, they told us we weren't allowed to share anything from this or make any content from it, so I was just abiding by that. They did let us know now that we are allowed to make some content from it, except we're not allowed to cover any of the story stuff. So any story stuff I'm not going to spoil. We're going to look at new characters and stuff like that, and I will have a fair few videos coming out over the next day or so going through all these different things in this Pioneer server, which basically is like a little sneak peek at what the season's going to have. Keep in mind, we are only like less than a day and a half away from all of this coming onto the main test server that we play on anyway. So it will be all coming. Keep in mind, when we look at a bunch of this stuff, it's very awkward because we've got like beefed up accounts. We're still trying to like get through the base Dream Realm, so we aren't in the season Dream Realm yet, as you can see. So I'm not going to go too hard on this test server, but I will definitely keep paying attention to see what is happening over here for the few days that we do have it live. I don't think it's got very long shelf life left, but that is what we are looking at. So the first thing I want to go through in this video, we do have the first three new heroes, being the Dunlinger. That dude's a bit confusing. I want to do a whole video on him. So in this video, I want to look at Nara and Sinbad and take a look at their skills and give you guys my little rundown on these two. Like I said, this will probably be a long-ass video going through just these two. We'll do Dunlinger in another video, and then I'll come back again and show you guys some more stuff. But for this one, Nara. So my takeaway from Nara is that I think she is going to be pretty much like a PvP tech unit. Maybe in lower type deficit pushing, she could be great for locking out units, executing. I just think that it's just going to depend on the damage capabilities. I haven't pushed AFK stages in this. Unfortunately, this thing came out on 2 days where the missus was working and I've had the kids the whole time, so I haven't been able to grind this at all. But Nara, definitely more of a free-to-play tech PvP unit is my first impressions of her. Bossing, I do think that maybe for battle drills and also for world bosses when they're below 50%, she could be like one of those units that does big damage, kind of like Vala and Seth and stuff like that. So let's go through her kit. So her ultimate, Nara gains 750 energy when the battle starts. After charging up briefly, she deals 320% damage to the target. That's if you actively use it. If the target's HP ratio is lower than 40%, then she deals 560% plus 60% based on the skill, the ultimate damage. And that's true damage instead. So instead of just flat 320 and 35, it goes up to 560 and 60 as true damage. Because this one is just damage to the target, not true damage. So like the damage between her standard ultimate and the ultimate on enemies below 40 is going to be an enormous difference. And you can tell that goes up to 600 base multiplier, which is quite huge on true damage. So that's honestly a big hit. So essentially in PvP, that is one hit killing any enemy that is below 40%. Just straight dead. I don't see any way that doesn't insta kill them. So that is her ultimate. Basically just a massive nuke insta kill. Then we have Phantom Chains. So cooldown is 4 seconds on this one, but the initial cooldown is 0, meaning she uses this at the start of battle, which is a very important thing. Nara pulls a distant enemy hero towards her when there are no enemies within her normal attack range. So if there's no enemies in melee range, she's going to grab an enemy and pull them close to her. The target loses 3.5% HP for every tile they are pulled, up to 250% of Nara's attack. This skill won't defeat the enemy and prioritizes attacking the closest symmetrical enemy. So mirroring her position is the way I understand that wording. Then we go on to the next one. Nara kicks a nearby enemy, dealing damage, knocking them into the air and down for 2 seconds. She then follows up with 3 rapid hits, each dealing X damage. So that's pretty much where we're at. We've got a 130 plus 3 times 80, which is 60, 240. You know, you got about a 240 plus the 130, 270, 370 multiplier on that one. But it is more the CC that you are getting out of that one. So essentially what she's going to do is, if we look at this one, you can see once again, no initial cooldown. So at the start of battle, she's going to use this one to grapple the enemies near her. Then she's going to kick them straight down. This is pretty much exactly the way she works in AFK Arena. And then for her ult, she's going to execute anyone that's below 40% essentially. Dude, that purple chain looks cool too. Then we jump into her hero focus. Attack increased by 10% during battle. After an assist or kill, her attack increases by an extra 15%, which obviously the plan is to get her to land a bunch of kills. Then her exclusive equipment. After defeating an enemy hero with Crimson Vengeance, which is her ultimate ability, Nara releases a 2-tile shockwave, dealing damage equal to 8% of the defeated target's HP to all enemies within the area. The shockwave also heals all allies within the area for 8% of the defeated target's max HP. The damage dealt and healing from this skill cannot exceed 600% of Nara's attack rating. Then we go number increase, but then at level 4, when Nara's energy is full, she casts Phantom Chains on an enemy outside her normal attack range with a HP ratio below 40%. So this is where she can execute enemies. Like if there's a low enemy outside of her normal attack range, outside of her melee range, she can then execute them. So basically she's going to be sitting there with full energy. Just say like you snipe down another enemy low. She's going to execute them with her ultimate instead of having to have them near her. Because if she's already got an enemy in melee range that she just can't get below 40%, she'll just sit there on full energy and not use her ultimate because you're not going to kill that enemy. But if anyone else drops, that level 4 means she's going to execute from range, which is pretty cool. Then this one, after defeating an enemy with Crimson Vengeance, she instantly recovers 250 energy. So you can see that she is a massive snowballing unit. Now, we'll have to wait and see. Once again, we've got these... the thing I often struggle with is when you have these God accounts, testing stuff actually gets hard for me because it's just so not relatable to what I'm used to on a free-to-play experience, because you've just got access to every Celestial Hyper Gen, and it's just not realistic. I do think for possible, she could have that viability in some AFK stage pushing, especially if we get troublesome units that we need to lock out at the start, because once again, she pulls them, then she kicks them straight down, and then you can also just gang up on that enemy. But once again, if you go to super high deficits, not so good. Mid-level deficits, I think should be great. And then once again, for PvP, especially for targeting tricky enemies and stuff like that, I think she is going to be fantastic for that. And that is the main things I can see Nara being used for in PvP. So moving on from that, the next one I want to look at is Sinbad. So this guy, I'm keen to test him, pull one copy of him on my free-to-play account and test him in bossing when I don't have Rainier, because I think he could have a pseudo fill-in spot for that Rainier, but we'll talk about it as we go. So first of all, passive. Sinbad's skills deal normal attack damage, so his skills get the normal attack multiplier, which is, attack speed is going to help him as well. And his casting speed is affected by both his attack speed and haste. Active. Sinbad lands as many hits as possible on the enemy for 3 seconds, dealing 100% damage per hit. After these successive attacks, he delivers a final strike, dealing additional damage. So this is where his whole thing is. Like, his ult is just how much attack speed and haste do you have on this guy, so that he can snowball the damage and hit as many times in that period. I think this is a really cool take on an ability. I just really like this. Then we go on to the next one. The initial cooldown on this one is going to be 6 seconds. 6 seconds into battle, Sinbad vaults behind his allies and starts assessing the enemy's strength. He marks the enemy dealing the most damage as the hitter and the one taking the most damage as the guard. These marks last for 30 seconds. Sinbad then charges at the hitter, dealing damage 4 times and reducing their attack by 45%. Next, he takes on the guard, dealing the same damage 4 times and increasing their damage taken by 25%. Both debuffs expire when their respective marks do. If a marked enemy is defeated, or when the marks expire, Sinbad starts a new assessment and becomes unaffected during this time. The debuffs are reduced to 20% of the original effect when used against bosses. So this is the and if you look here, it goes up to the damage taken by 40%. So it goes up to 40%, but then it gets reduced to 20% of the 40% is my understanding on the way the wording works. So if you use this on bosses, you're essentially going to get an 8% damage taken boost on the boss and a 16%, a 12% attack decrease on the boss. So these, I'm pretty sure when I tested him yesterday, that you get both of these on the boss. So I'll do more testing like when he actually comes out on the proper test server and let you guys know exactly how it goes. Now, once again, unfortunately, these buffs don't get fully maxed out for bossing, but that would just make him a complete power creep of Rainier. So I do think he can be like a pocket Rainier. I'm really curious to test this guy at 1 copy against bossing, like I said, on a free-to-play account to see if you can get some viability out of him, because at higher dupes, he's going to get more viability, obviously, because he's also a damage dealer, whereas Rainier doesn't do the damage. So I don't expect him to be like a prime damage dealer because he doesn't have the true damage, but he can add a little bit of damage to him when you've got him beefed up. But like I said, the main test for this guy, for me personally, when he comes to the test server or the live servers, is can 1 copy work in place of Rainier at some sort of decent capacity in some teams, or does he find a spot at all? That's what I'm curious to see. So that is where he's at. Like I said, interesting ability. Unfortunately, a bit nerfed against bosses, but hey, it is what it is. And like I said, to my understanding, that is 20% of the 40%, which would bring it to an 8% damage amplification. Moving on to the next one. Swings his double-headed blade twice, dealing damage. Not a crazy ability. Unfortunately, no true damage on that as well. Once again, true damage is kind of the meta at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see. Increases attack speed by 21. Obviously, this hero focus is great for him because he wants as much attack speed and haste as possible, especially to deal more damage during that ult. Then we have his exclusive equipment. Sinbad studies the fighting styles of the hitter and the guard to strengthen the debuff he applies. If the hitter deals more normal attack damage, his debuff will reduce their attack speed by 60%. If they deal more skill damage, the debuff will reduce their energy recovery efficiency by 60%. For the guard, if they depend more on healing from allies or themselves, he will reduce their vitality. If they rely more on damage mitigation, he will reduce their physical defense and magic defense. Now, this one here, once again, now we get another debuff. So this is where, like I mentioned with his first ability, can he work at a single copy? And this is where he becomes more of a viable debuffer, if you will. And I kind of, I honestly, on my account, because I skipped Rainier, I kind of want to get him to this stage to test it. Now, I will test on this server over the next few days whether like his raw damage output from him versus Rainier. I'm really curious to see that, and I will do some more testing on that and get back to you guys with those results, probably close to when this guy drops, but we'll see how it goes. And then we go number increase, level 4, reduce the hitter's attack by an extra 40%, increases guards damage taken by an extra 20%. So yeah, we do get some decent damage on that one. Oh wait, what was this one? If the hitter deals more normal attack damage, okay, that's just the number increase. Yeah. If the enemy marked as the hitter or guard in 2 consecutive assessments, their attack is further reduced by 40%. Yeah, okay, so it's just all those upgrades are just amplifying the raw effect that it gets. So that's what we're looking at over there. And then this one, the duo cut, which is this one. No, this one. The dual blade thing. Deals 140% more damage to enemies marked as hitter or guard. So it's just amplifying damage. But like I said, the big thing for me is going to be this debuff, which is the physical and magical defense debuff, and then the debuff that he applies with this. Whether it's enough damage amplification, I don't think his damage is great, but it's not nothing, so it is something to add. So I'm definitely, this is one I just definitely need to test this guy more to find out, but that is a look at his kit as well. So that covers him and Nara. Like I said, I think these guys both will have viability in their own way. I'm really curious to test one copy viability with him. Nara, I'm so torn on whether I pull for her, because I do think she will be the first banner. We haven't got that confirmed, but yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. That's just a look at their skills once again, and I will bring you guys more testing and stuff like that in the future. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.